What if I told you that everything you've been taught about happiness is wrong? Most people spend their entire lives chasing happiness. They believe that if they make more money, get that promotion, find the perfect relationship, or achieve the recognition they desire, they will finally feel complete. But there is a truth that almost no one has the courage to admit. Many reach the top of the mountain, look around, and still feel empty. But what if there was a proven formula for true happiness? Not just a fleeting moment of excitement, not just a passing pleasure, but a deep, lasting, and unshakable joy. A formula revealed by the wisest man who ever lived, King Solomon. Solomon had it all: wealth beyond imagination, power over entire nations, wisdom so great that kings and queens from distant lands traveled just to hear him speak. If anyone could find happiness in this world, it was him. But after experiencing everything life had to offer, do you know what he said? Vanity of vanities. All is vanity. Ecclesiastes 1:2. Think about that. The richest, wisest, and most powerful king in history looked at his life and declared that none of it really mattered. Success, pleasures, achievements, it was all empty. If money, power, and pleasure weren't enough for the wisest man in history, what could possibly bring true happiness? In this video, we will reveal Solomon's formula for a happy life. We will uncover the true reason why he declared that everything was empty, what he discovered about true joy, and how his final conclusion can transform your life today. By the end of this video, you will not only understand Solomon's wisdom, but you will know exactly how to apply it to your own life to finally experience real happiness. And in the end, we will pray together for clarity, peace, and the ability to find joy the way God intended. So stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear may challenge everything you thought you knew about happiness. And if you know someone who is struggling, someone who is searching for happiness but always ends up feeling empty, send this video to that person. This might be exactly what they need to hear right now. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video so that more people can be reached by this message. Comment below, what is true happiness for you? Have you sought joy in the wrong places? And above all, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You never know how a message can change a life. Now, think about the last time you told yourself, if I only get this, I'll be happy. Maybe it was a new job, a relationship, a car, more money, or recognition for your efforts. Then you got it. And for a moment, you felt amazing. You celebrated. You felt accomplished. But then that feeling disappeared. The excitement faded. And soon you started chasing the next goal, the next desire, the next dream. Why? This is exactly what King Solomon realized after having everything the world could offer. He had power, unimaginable wealth, influence, knowledge, and everything most people spend their entire lives trying to achieve. And yet, after all of that, he wrote, "Vanity of vanities, all is vanity." Ecclesiastes 1:2. How is it possible that a man who had everything still felt empty? Wasn't he supposed to be the happiest man in the world? This is where we need to stop and ask ourselves a tough question. If Solomon, who had more than we could ever dream of, still felt dissatisfied, why do we think we will be any different? Look at the world today. How many people do you know who have everything yet are still not happy? Celebrities, billionaires, influencers, people with fame, fortune, and success. And yet, they face depression, addictions, and a deep emptiness. Some even take their own lives because they realize that nothing they chased really satisfied them. Why? Because the world teaches us that happiness is something we reach when we finally get there. We're told we'll be happy when we have more money. But then the richest people in the world tell us that money didn't solve their problems. We're told we'll be happy when we find the perfect love. But then married people still feel alone. We're told we'll be happy when we achieve success. But then we see athletes, musicians, and actors at the peak of their careers facing overwhelming loneliness. What's going on? Solomon had already figured this out thousands of years ago. He saw that everything we chase in this life ultimately slips away. No matter how much wealth, power, or pleasure he sought, none of it lasted. And today, we see that same cycle repeating itself. Think of a man who spends his entire life working tirelessly, sacrificing time with his family, putting his health at risk, believing that success will finally make him happy. Then one day, he retires, looks around and realizes he never really lived. His children barely know him. His body is worn out by stress, and now that he finally has time, he feels lost. Or think of someone who spends years seeking relationships, believing that finding the right person will finally bring happiness. But after each disappointment, they realize that no human being can fill the emptiness inside them. This is exactly what Solomon warned us about. He tested everything: wealth, power, pleasure, achievements, and none of it filled the void inside him. He wrote, "I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure." Ecclesiastes 2:10. And yet after everything, he realized it was all empty. Does this mean success, money, and relationships are bad? Solomon didn't say these things were bad. The problem isn't having these things. The problem is expecting them to bring us lasting happiness. So, where does true happiness come from? We'll get there. But first, we need to ask ourselves, what are we seeking? What have we convinced ourselves we need to feel complete? And if we get it, will it really make us happy forever? Or, like Solomon, will we still feel empty in the end? And here's where everything changes. Because if the things we seek don't satisfy us, then what can bring us real happiness? Solomon found the answer. And what he discovered will forever change the way you view happiness. At the end of his life, after experiencing everything the world could offer, Solomon wrote these words, "Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind." Ecclesiastes 12:13. This is shocking. A man who had wealth, fame, power, and wisdom beyond comprehension reduced the essence of happiness to one thing: living in reverence to God and following his ways. Does this mean money, success, and achievements are useless? But it means that if we try to build our happiness on those things, we will always be walking towards emptiness. True joy is not in what we possess, but in who we are before God. When we understand this, everything changes. Instead of chasing things that never satisfy, we begin to live with a higher purpose. We start to see that happiness is not a distant destination, but something we find by walking in God's will. And now I ask you, where have you been seeking your happiness? What do you believe will finally fill your heart? If Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, warned us about the vanity of fleeting things and pointed to God as the only source of true joy, why do we insist on looking elsewhere? Maybe it's time to change that search. If this message touched your heart, don't ignore this call. Maybe God is speaking to you right now. Maybe He is showing you that it's time to stop searching for happiness where it can never be found and finally return to the one who is the very source of life. And to seal this moment, let's pray together. Ask God to give you clarity, to open your eyes, and to lead you to the true path of happiness. If this word made sense to you, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Leave your comment below, and let's spread this truth together. You never know how a simple message can transform a life.